Jake, welcome to the podcast. How's it going, man?
Doing amazing. How are you?
I'm well. I'm really looking forward to our chat. I connected with you on LinkedIn. I don't remember exactly where I saw you. I think I either saw you pop up in someone else's comment feed or I did a search for brands and found yours. And I was just telling you before we started chatting that I love your branding. The copy specifically is kind of what caught my eye. I love on your homepage, and I didn't tell you this specifically, but I love let's see, I got to get back to it on the value, like on your homepage where it walks through. And for those of you who haven't been to Jake's homepage to craftmix.com, go check it out. How you're talking about how it's like the classic marketing play of like, you're kind of trying to help people. All right, I like it. Yeah, show that product there. You're like trying to help people envision what it's like to use their product in like their actual life, right? And so you're like walking through the steps of what it's like to make a cocktail without your product. And there's all these different steps, and then you circle the part that says your friends are disappointed.
Yeah. And that actually segues right into like how we started the product because I used to be a bartender back while I was in college. I would bartend, and when I'd go over to friends' houses, they'd be like, "Oh, JT, you're a bartender. Make us a cocktail." And I'd say, "All right, well, what do you have?" And they'd be like, we've got some pickle juice, $4 plastic vodka, some gummy bears, and rotting pear." And I'd be like, "Well, can't really make a drink out of that." And then I realized, wow, I don't even have the ingredients to make a full drink at my house. So I can't even imagine what it's like for people who aren't bartenders. And so, yes, on our website, it clearly states all the steps you got to go. You got to find a new recipe. You got to get off your couch. You got to go to the store, find each and every item, spend all the money, $20, $30 on all these different items. Then you finally make the drinks and spend all that time, make a big mess in your kitchen. And it doesn't even turn out that well. And then
Yeah.
you're disappointed. And then all the ingredients you purchased end up expiring before you attempt to make cocktails again.
Yeah,
So,
the struggle's real. The
exactly.
struggle is real. So like how long ago, I guess let's start with that. How long ago did that happen where you were like wanting to make a cocktail for friends and you're like, oh, like I don't think I could even do it at my house? Was
Yeah. So, oh man, I mean, it's always been a struggle. And then, like, throughout all of college, we continuously had this problem where we wouldn't have all the ingredients. And I guess we finally addressed it and it was a hobby project when we first started in 2018, just like messing around with different powders and like different flavors. So that's kind of when it started, but we didn't officially launch until, let's see, it must have been February of 2019 is when we launched our first product. But again,
okay.
that was just a soft launch with product that was made when we had no funding at all. And then we were finally able to do like our hard launch with our official product, which is this, what you see
Mhm.
today. That was just about 11 months ago, last December.
Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, so it's 2018. You're starting to kind of look into the steps to launch this brand. You said that you did a soft launch at first. What did that look like as far as producing the product went? Like, how did you make the product, and then how did you go about doing the soft launch?
Yeah, here, I'm going to go grab a packet
Okay,
of stuff I
sweet.
have here at my desk. So when we did our soft launch, this is originally what our product looked like. This is when we had zero funding.
Okay.
And of course, this is what it looks like now. But that's a great question. Like, how did we get started? And so back when it was a hobby project, we started with just ordering powders from all different types of flavor houses. And I kid you not, sitting down in our kitchen and getting drunk night after night. And
Sounds like a rough life, man. That's like a rough work life.
oh, it is. And still to this day, I have to do it. Like just on Friday, we had a big team taste test and we had to go through 8 different drinks. And that's a lot. Like when you're drinking eight
Yeah.
drinks, sitting down in a control setting, it's a lot. But anyway, when we were starting, it was just iteration after iteration of different formulas. And I kid you not, it probably took about 6 months to finally get something we liked. At first, our roommates would
Man.
drink it and just spit it out. And then finally, after that 6 month period, they're like, wow, this actually tastes like a really good drink. So from there, then we had to find a manufacturer. And at that point, we didn't really have any capital. So we had to try and find someone that was going to take a gamble on us to make these to begin with and just kind of front us on some nice terms. And we were luckily able to find someone that gave us decent terms, but still you need the capital to be able to
Right.
create the product. And that's when we were like, all right, let's create a Kickstarter. So in December of 2018, we gathered a list of literally every single person we had ever met, ever, every professor we ever had, every substitute teacher we ever had, every person we met in passing, any business card I had ever gotten from any conference I had ever been to, and made a list of, I think, of about 6,000 people to send our emails like, hey, we're launching a Kickstarter. We'd love your support. And
Right.
so luckily from that, we were able to raise about $15,000 from, I think it was December 2018 to January of 2019. And then we put everything in production then and made our first round of, I think it was like 50,000 packets of these. And that's how we did our soft launch in early 2019.
Okay. Okay. So I want to come back to this in a second, as far as like how you segued from that, $15,000 kickstart to, I think you said that you got some venture capital. It sounds like you got some capital. So I want to come back to that. Before I do though, when you decided to go with the copacker versus making it on your own, tell me about that thought process and what made you decide to go with the copacker.
Yes. So rewinding to back in the days when we were messing around in our own kitchen to see if we'd get some interest, what we did is we produced packets on our own. We bought a heat sealer. We bought silver packets from like a supply store. And we were like, we bought big tubs and we're mixing and filling and sealing all our own packets at home. Problem with that is it isn't necessarily food safe. So you can't really get into any stores with that.
Yeah.
You can get out to friends and family and kind of show a concept and kind of start building your following based on the concept. But one of the main reasons was, I think our first actual run that we did at my house, we did 1,000 of 3 flavors, so 3,000 total packets. And now it took about an hour to pack up 100 of them. So me and our team at the time were sitting there literally like so bored. We played 20 questions for about 8 hours straight. It was 30 hours of packing these up. So it was like we watched every movie we possibly could have thought of, played 20 questions. We were incredibly bored for 30 hours doing the same task. One person was on weigh and fill. I was on seal and cut. And it was just hours and hours of that. So we realized that that wasn't sustainable and that we'd need to find a co-packer to streamline the process.
Okay, gotcha. So you tried doing it on your own, did for that first run, and we're just like, this doesn't make sense. I got to work on other parts of the business.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
What was your process like looking for a co-packer? You said that you kind of had to find somebody that would take a chance on you. Tell me more about that.
Absolutely. So we actually worked through our network. We had one advisor at the time who was an alum from our school, and he would also happened to be the founder of Liquid IV. And so, that
Oh,
became
wow.
a very popular startup. I met up with him back before Liquid IV was absolutely huge. And I said, hey, we're doing something similar. We'd love for you to kind of mentor us and just show us how you got started. And so he helped us out and connected us to one co-packer that did fill, seal, and pack out. And so all within, that one, or they did blend, fill, seal, and pack out. So all with just that one connection, we were able to, find someone that could do just about everything. And he gave us a few names of different people, and we did our own research as well. But because it came through that connection, they're able to help us out with pricing and give us a little bit better terms, just because our mentor had done so well with them.
Very cool. Very cool. And you had already gone through the process of like sourcing all the packaging and all the different flavors that you needed for the product when you were doing it on your own, right?
Yeah. So we also had to find someone to do the formulations, well, reformulate our products because we had made our own versions. But of course, when you go to someone who does the manufacturing and blending of your raw materials, they're going to want to standardize your formulas for their machinery and their processes.
Mm-hmm.
So we did have to go through a little bit of reformulation with them as well. And yeah, that's how we got started.
Gotcha. Um, so right now, as far as your production process goes, you're working with a co-packer. Do you still like personally source all of the packaging and all the raws and then send it to them, or does a co-packer do that for you?
So now, over the years, supply chain continuously changes because one person, they sell their company and another person moves their company and another person gets more expensive and another person gets cheaper. So I'd say like up till this point, we've worked with one, two, three, four, I think four or five different co-packers just to pack out the product, three different fill seal places, and then also two different raw materials manufacturers. So it's been, and then quite a few different packaging manufacturers as well. So it's
Wow.
always changing because people are always approaching you saying, hey, I can make your stuff look even better at a better price. And you're like, okay, let me give it some thought. Or, one of your connections within your supply chain will be like, hey, don't warehouse with them anymore. Like use our preferred partner and they're going to hook you up. And then they end up being 10 times better than your old partner. So you go with them. So it's constantly changing. But right now, I feel like we have our supply chain very streamlined and like have kind of settled on all of the best partners through I think we've done close to 10 production runs now.
Oh, wow. 10 production runs. Okay. So you've changed it up a bunch, and that was just since like you started using a co-packer when like end of 2018, beginning of 2019. So just over 2 years about.
Yeah, just over 2.5 years. We produced, I'd say, two or three production runs of this product. Those were all
Okay.
small, and then we halted production because we wanted to, not sell this anymore. So in the end of 2020 or Q3, Q4 of 2020, we were just selling out of all of our old product in, waiting for our new product to be released. And with COVID, that really backed everything up. But finally, all the co-packers and manufacturers were so backed up. We were supposed to launch in September of 2020, but it got pushed all the way back to December of 2020.
No way. That's crazy.
Yeah,
About like 3 or 4 months. That's nuts.
exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so going back to you said you decided to take on some venture capital. You had the connection with the mentor from Liquid IV, right? You mentioned. What was that thought process like as far as deciding whether you were going to bootstrap or take on capital?
Yeah, that is a great question. So we didn't take on venture capital, but we did take
Okay.
on from an angel investor. So basically what happened was by the end of 2019, I mean, when you first launched, so the beginning of 2019, we were barely seeing any sales at all. And we were like, oh my God, we had just spent a whole, whatever year getting this together. Now it's not even selling. But that's normal for all products. Of course, you need to get your brand out there. Need to get people to know about it. So it took some time, but by the end of 2019, we were starting to see some real traction. And that's when I still had a full-time job. I was working in tech investments and M&A. And I realized, wow, well, working here in, corporate world is awesome. It's secure, but it's not my passion. Like I have the heart of an entrepreneur and I know I want to do, pursue my own business, my own venture. So I was like, all right, we're seeing some traction, but if we want to take this to the next level, we have to raise some capital. So we went ahead and started pitching the business. And this was in late 2019. And we found this one investor. They were like a small VC. And they said, we're super interested. Come up to San Francisco. Let's have a meeting. And so I went up there, did my presentation. We tried the product. They loved it. We told them the vision of the steps, all of our innovation moving forward and how we wanted to scale the business. And in between my marketing presentation, they said, stop, we're done. Like, you're done. Like, we're in. You don't even have to finish the presentation. We're in. We love it. We're in.
Nice.
So then I came back down to LA. The next day I went into my job and I said, hey, I want to give my 2 weeks, but I prefer to leave today. If I can leave today, I would love to just, cut ties and move on. But if you want me to stay and I told them like, by phone, I'm pursuing my own venture, but if you want me to stay, I can stay 2 weeks. They're like, no, it's okay. You can go. So I left that day. And so 2 weeks goes by and I call the VC back and say, hey, what are the next steps? They said, don't worry, we'll follow up. We'll follow up. A month goes by, I call them again. Hey, we want to get moving. What are the next steps for here? Like, we really want to start. uh, putting our foot on the gas pedal. And they said, don't worry, we're going to get the information. Just we're working through some internal stuff right now. 2 months went by, and now it's close to the end of the year of 2019. And they said,
Oof.
actually, we've been thinking about it. It's probably not the best investment for us this time. So wishing you the best of
Oof.
luck. And so now I'd quit my job. We're running out of inventory. We're running out of capital. And that puts you in a tight space.
Yeah. Geez.
But again, I have the heart of an entrepreneur. I swear it's been, my passion my whole life. And if there's a will, there's a way. And so from the end of 2019, December to about March, I had about 5 to 8 calls per day, every single day, pitching my business every single day. I kid you not, spending 4, 5, 6 hours a day just pitching the business to anyone I possibly could. And then in March of 2020, right before COVID happened, we found a very interested individual. He said, I'll close out half the round, because we had 2 other individuals that were going to take the other half. And then COVID hit, of course. The 2 other individuals backed out, and the other angel investor said, hey, if they're out, I want, the whole round. And so he cleared out the whole round.
No way.
We were like, all right, it's go time. But then, of course, COVID hit, slowed everything down, and we didn't get to launch until the end of last year.
Okay. Man, that's crazy. I mean, first of all, congrats, props on the hustle. Like that's, that had to have been pretty nerve-wracking,
Yeah.
that period of time, like after you quit your job and you're waiting on that funding to come in and it doesn't. And then they say, actually, we changed our minds completely. And you're like, oh crap. And then you have to just, switch on the hustle muscle and just start making calls. And it sounds like you really tapped into that entrepreneur, those entrepreneur roots that you have, which is amazing.
Yeah. It was definitely nerve-wracking, but that's one thing I can't stress enough to all other entrepreneurs, is just everything. If you just keep if you just keep up your persistence, keep at it, keep trying, something will come through. I remember I had one meeting with this one advisor I had, and it was late 2019, and we were like, we just need capital to like get ourselves off the ground, or we just need one big break to like get us off the ground. And that's what she kept saying, like, you're so close. Like, I can tell with your determination, you're going to get it, because you're so close and you've built it up to here. So it's not like you're just going to go flying off the cliff. Like, if you put yourself in this situation before and got to this point, you can get yourself to the next point. It's just about like pushing yourself to the next step.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's I think what you said about pushing yourself to the next step is something that every entrepreneur should focus on. Like, I think we all want to know what's going to happen, and we all want to see like all the steps and what it's going to take to get there. But if you just stay focused on what's right in front of you and doing that to the best of your ability, then that kind of takes care of itself, and then the next step presents itself when you focus on that. Easier said than done, but I think that's one of the keys to success for sure.
Absolutely. It's crazy because we've been through many difficult, times to get to where we are today. And when you're in that moment, it feels like the absolute end of the world. But now, as we're reminiscing, I'm thinking about, oh yeah, the time where we would get drunk, and oh yeah, the time where the manufacturer took the chance on us. It's very difficult to live in the difficult moment. But when you look back, you're like, wow, we've had quite a few successes along the way. Like, it's been an amazing journey. It's so funny how, I don't know, you
That's
reminisce.
amazing. Yeah, for sure. And I feel like I just recently heard this quote again. I've heard it a bunch of times, and I'm paraphrasing, but Steve Jobs talks about how like you can never connect the dots going forward. You can only do it in hindsight. And I think that's like a big part of entrepreneurship and really taking on any creative venture in life, is like you don't really know what's going to happen. And when you're in it, it's like all you're focused on, and it's like the world and like that one problem you're trying to solve. But then you look back on it a year down the road, and it's just a fun story to talk about. It just kind of becomes part of your brand story that you tell your new hires and new interns, and that you just kind of talk about on a podcast with a software company.
Exactly. And what is it? What's the saying? I think comedy is tragedy with time, something like that.
Yeah,
And it's so true.
that's so true. That is hilarious. Okay. All right. So in the current kind of setup of your business, you were telling me before we got on, but you've got kind of a team of interns and external contractors and stuff. Kind of tell me how your, I guess your, I don't know if you would call it your team, but like your network of people that are working on the brand. How is that all set up?
Yeah, so that's one thing that is incredibly difficult when starting a business is having the right people in the right places. I kid you not, we've probably went through something like 8 design teams until finding the right one
Oh,
because
wow.
and also same thing with developers, like with all the teams we've hired, like we've had to fire a lot of them because people always overpromise and underdeliver and like
Mm,
charging you a lot for it because they can get away with it, because
yeah.
people like an easy solution. Like, I hate to say it, but people are like, oh yeah, take my service here, we'll do a good job, and people just take that for granted without doing like the added research. So for
Mm,
everyone we hire and everyone we onboard, like it's really rigorous because I put people on the spot because I want to make sure we make the right hire. As a founder and as like a CEO, you have the fiduciary duty to do what's in the best interest of the company and the best interest of your finances as well. So
hmm.
I physically, well, no, I can because I physically can, but I can't waste money. Like, it is my duty to not waste money. And all of these businesses that approach you every day, it's their goal to have you waste money because they need to make money. And that it's pretty crappy business model to have because we get hit up. Did you not, like, why not create a situation where both companies can benefit and make money together? But unfortunately, that's just not how a lot of these companies think. They're just like, okay, who can I kind of burn for some cash? No offense,
Yeah.
but like I get hit up every single day. People that are like ads agencies, people that are like design agencies, photography, like people like, okay, how can I just get you to pay me? But they don't understand the other side of the email. Every time I look at an email, it's like, why would I ever waste my money on you? Or why would I spend my money on you? And
Right.
that's what a lot of companies don't understand. They're just like numbers games, sending a bunch of emails, hoping that someone will just kind of fall for it and say, okay, this email fell in my lap. Let me just hire these people because they said they'll do well, even though they won't. So
Right.
that's my absolute duty when it comes to like hiring for our team. I put people through a very rigorous process of like, okay, show me your work. Okay, show me your results. Okay, why do you think it's going to work? Okay, show me, what have you done in the past? What has worked for you in the past? What do you estimate?
Mm,
What's your worst case scenario? And so
mm,
I want to know the worst case scenario. If everything goes wrong, what's your worst case scenario for me? And
mm,
sometimes the people who you'll hire who will do a good job are willing to put their work on the line. So for our
mm.
developer that we use for all of our tech projects and website, he said, yeah, you don't even have to, and I'll give him a shout out. Site.nyc is his website. Amazing designer. And he's launching,
Sweet.
or not designer, amazing developer, and is launching his own shop. But he said, don't even pay me until I finish the job. Like, I'm that confident in my
Mm,
work. Because we had just fired our previous developer because they said, oh yeah, what you want to do, it's not really possible. And then, our new guy, he said, yeah, don't even pay me. I know it's possible. Just pay me when I'm
mm.
done with the job. And he did an amazing job. Because if you're so confident in your own work, you'll put your work on the line. Your work will speak for it.
Yeah.
It'll speak on its own. So you have nothing to be scared about. But when you say that to people, like, oh no, we require upfront payment, and then you only have a week to submit any revisions, and if you don't like them, then you're kind of just shit out of luck, and you have to like give us another work order. No. So
Right.
that's the number one red flag.
So it sounds
Because
like you've learned a lot of lessons the hard way. Oh, sorry. What, what were you gonna say?
oh yeah, because if anyone said to me, "Hey, JT, I want you to design or develop an amazing product because that's my specialty is product development," I'd say, "Yeah, don't even pay me. Like, I know I can make you a kick-ass product. Like, there's no doubt
Yeah.
in my mind, as my skills as a product developer and a product manager, that I can make you an amazing product. Like, so yeah, don't pay me." And those are the type of people you want to hire that are so confident and not just in it for the money. Because people who are just in it for the money will make a quick buck off you and then leave you stranded.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's one of the challenges with hiring agencies that promise an outcome that, and I guess it kind of depends on what you're hiring them for. Like sometimes things are more predictable than others. But when you hire somebody, when you're like trying to decide if you're going to hire somebody that's going to perform a service where the outcome isn't always guaranteed, and how can you protect your downside and make sure that it's the right hire to make. Like you said, it's your job to like be a wise steward of the capital and the, you know, and the money in your company. And so you gotta, you know, make sure that you're spending that as wisely as possible. So it sounds like you're more focused then on the product dev side, like product development and management and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
As far as like your actual day-to-day work and not the stuff that you outsource, let's say.
Yes, but it's a lot more than that. Of course, I'm product lead, but every you know, I'm almost everything else lead except for when it comes to, I guess, accounting and finance and legal, more of our professional services. I don't have too much of input on. We just kind of outsource those. But even with our external design team and external development team, like I work closely with them to say like, okay, here's what we want. And I'm even going to give you a wireframe of kind of what we want for you to have an idea of how to complete the project to exactly as we imagined. That way there's no surprises.
Gotcha. Okay. You mentioned obviously having an kind of an entrepreneurial tendency, and you've kind of always had it. I don't know if that's even the way you'd say it. You're just entrepreneurial, right? Is what you are.
Yeah.
Are you the type that just like learn stuff on the fly? Like you just dig in and do it? Are there like certain resources that you like to go to, or like communities that you're a part of that you feel like have helped you, or that maybe you turn to when you have challenges? Tell me more about that.
Absolutely. I couldn't stress that enough. We live in a society where you can learn anything online in just about an hour, or get a good overview of anything online in just about an hour. And then if you want to spend more time doing it, then it's like, okay, you can spend more time learning it and like become an expert at it.
Yeah.
There's not, you know, you can't learn everything about something in an hour, but you can learn an overview enough to like communicate with someone about something in an hour. So I can't stress enough to younger people, like they have every asset and information they could ever need. Like this wasn't available just 15, 20 years ago. Like it didn't exist. Now you can learn literally anything. But one thing I really like to do, and that I stress our team and our interns do all the time when it comes to marketing and even learning new things, is look at people that you look up to. Like, for example, oh, we really like the photography of this company. Get your inspiration from them. I'm not saying go and copy them exactly, but get your inspiration from other people, because there are people that have spent their lives focusing on photography and design. So learn from them, learn from experts. And, you know, watching YouTube videos is fine, but when it comes down to it, you need like internal inspiration to do a really good job at anything you do. So that's why I always recommend, like, go see what's out there, see what you really like, and like from other people who've been really successful with what they've done, and people that you just appreciate and respect their work.
For sure. Yeah, I think that's really smart. You don't want to steal from people and like copy them completely, but being inspired by it kind of gives you a goal to work towards. And it's kind of funny, like even if you think you're copying someone, or you think you're stealing from someone, like, and obviously I'm not proposing that anyone out there like rips someone's product off. But I mean, if like you do your version of what they're doing, it's going to be different, right? Because
their version was probably a version. Oh, sorry. I was going to say their version is probably a version of someone else's thing, who is a version of someone else's thing. It keeps going on and on. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. You can always trace something back to something else.
Yeah. And I mean, from kind of a practical standpoint and a kind of a good business case for it is, if your product is too original and too different from everything else out there, people probably won't buy it. Like, as like much as you want to come out with this new product that no one's ever seen before, and it's so cool, and it's like tastes amazing and has all these new flavors and stuff, people, it's like too foreign to them, and it takes too much work for them to like connect the dots and know why they should have it. Like we had someone on our podcast, I'm trying to remember what brand he was from, but he said that you should only innovate like 10% on your products. Like you shouldn't try and, like, if you're going to create a breakfast bar, do like a chocolate flavor, a peanut butter flavor, and a vanilla flavor. Like don't like try to create some crazy foreign flavor, right? Like you should only have one thing that's different about your product as compared to someone else's, because if not, it's just too hard to, to really stand out.
Yeah, we even see that a little bit with our products because we're on the very cutting edge of something that hasn't existed in the past. People know
Yeah.
liquid mixers, people know cocktails that you just pop open and drink, but no one's
Yeah.
ever, uncork or open the bottle and drink. But these are so incredibly like new and cutting edge. This is our product, by the way, Craftmix, where
Mm.
people don't quite understand it yet. But sometimes it's good to be on that cutting edge because there's so much more market to conquer versus like everyone's created a cookie brand before. And there's so many
Yeah.
cookie brands out there that the competition is so high. It's
Yeah.
easier to get like success off of a cookie brand because everyone already knows what it is and everyone is already purchasing cookies, but there's only a limit to how large you can get because there's so much competition and barrier to entry versus something like this. It's a
Yeah.
little more difficult to get running because people have to understand it, but there's so much more white space to get into.
Yeah. And you do a really good job on your website, like I just have to say. And this is a clear plug for all of you to go check out craftmix.com. You do a couple things really well on it. Talking about like your product, first of all, like you've got really unique flavors, but they all have a familiar feel to them too, like mango margarita. Like, I don't know if I've had that flavor before, but that sounds good. Strawberry mule, like I know what a mule is, but I've never had a strawberry mule. So it's like familiar, but there's enough newness that it makes you curious to try it. And one of the thoughts I had was like, how does a cocktail mix work? And right on your site, and this is cool, you have like 4 different steps: 1 shot of liquor, 2 shots of water, 1 craft mix packet, serve over ice. Like, so simple. And I can see like, oh, that's easy to make. Like, yeah, that's way more simple than how I've been trying to make cocktails at home before. So I think that's really cool.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you. We try and keep it as simple as possible while also making it still fun and interactive because we notice with the liquid mixers, you just pour the liquid mixer, liquor, done. That's not really fun. This, at least you feel like you're making a drink because it's like, okay, 1 shot of this, 2 shots of this, then I'm
Yeah.
gonna pour this and stir it or shake it a little bit. It's just a little more interactive than and
Mm,
fun. That's why people a lot of the time purchase cookie dough rather than just buying cookies because you get to roll the dough, you get to press it on the sheet and bake it. It's not making them from scratch, but it's not quite just going and buying the cookies. It's like you still get to,
yeah.
it's a little interactive.
Yeah. Yeah. And that actually reminds me, and I might be butchering this story, but the sentiment is similar to what you're saying. And that is like back in however many decades ago when brownie mixes first came out, or it could be cake mixes. And
No,
you
it's
might have heard this
brownie
story
mix.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was brownie mix, like with the eggs, right? Where like they had made it where all you had to do was add water, mix it, bake, and you're done, right? But I don't know exactly what occurred to them to make the change, but they're like, oh, like people actually would rather have the mix and maybe add some eggs and the water and oil as well, and then mix it and then bake it because you feel like you have more, you're like more involved in the creation process and you're not cheating so much. Like you're baking them still, but you don't have to create everything from scratch. You're just doing part of it from scratch, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I've heard the story. It's so funny because I usually say the brownie story and not so much the cookie one. And you're the
Uh,
first person to actually know that story already.
oh,
But
really?
yeah,
That's
that's
funny.
that's where I've got the inspiration as well because yeah, it is a little more
Cool.
involved and it's not such a cheat. And that's the same exact thing with our products as well as you still feel like you're making a drink and it's interactive, it's fun. It's an activity to do with your friends too. I know it's very simple, but it's not as simple as just 1 and 2, and it's not as hard as getting all the ingredients from scratch.
Yeah, that's awesome. Love it. All right. Well, let's just kind of switch gears a little bit here towards the end. Thinking of operations, supply chain has become just a ubiquitous term for all of us because of COVID, right? Like, I don't think I ever really had conversations with people about it before. And then now, like, that's what everyone's always talking about. And so, as a CPG owner, founder, CEO, like, that's, like a big part of your brand is making sure that the supply chain and that the operations are all on point. Because if not, you don't have a product to sell, right? So, that's kind of the foundation of what you're doing. So just kind of open-ended question, like what's on your mind these days, or kind of what are you focused on from a supply chain or operation standpoint?
That's a great question. I would say so for us, it's not so much about the delays, even though everyone has been insanely delayed recently, because we
Mhm.
order our product so far in advance and we store raw materials with our manufacturer. That way, when it's go time and we need another batch, they put it on the schedule and then we get our raw materials. So it's not
Cool.
too terrible for us. I guess what we're thinking about now from a supply chain standpoint is more, okay, we need to do larger production runs to keep up with demand and always be more than ready in inventory. We need to raise capital to be able to do that. So that's what's been really on our mind right now is raising more capital. But we've just been so busy with sales and new partners that we haven't we haven't done tons of outreach like I used to do for our last round. But luckily, we've been getting some good, just organic inbound of people interested in investing. So we're
Cool.
hopeful to wrap up a couple deals soon. But from supply chain, it's really just, I don't know, like we're pretty solid with our supply chain. I can't say I have any big complaints with the people that we work with. Everyone's doing an amazing job. It took us a couple switchovers to get it right, but now we're pretty
Yeah.
happy with everyone.
Find the right partner. So it sounds like, I mean, you've gone through the process of finding the right partners. You
Yeah.
mentioned earlier that it was kind of trial and error with some of them, and people would hit you up and say, "Hey, we can do it better," and you'd give them a shot. And so you've kind of found your A players, as it were, and you're in the habit of ordering the raws ahead of time, so you've always got them in stored at your copacker, so you're kind of prepared for those runs and that kind of thing. What sort of I guess what sort of thought process do you go through as far as how much you're gonna order ahead of time? Like, is there like a certain cap that you try to hit, and you're like, where you're like, okay, that's enough for now until the sales dip below a certain number? Like, what's your thought process there?
It's so difficult because sales
Yeah.
fluctuate so much, and then just one day,
Mm.
it gets organic inbound of, hey, we want to order 50,000 packets, and it's like, oh my God, I didn't like our e-commerce site has been a little bit slow, but now someone wants to order 50,000 packets. Like, okay, we need another run ASAP. So it's always kind of give and take. But what we've done is just overproduce because we sold out twice this year already. And when you sell out,
Oh
you
wow.
lose a lot of momentum. It's just a terrible look. Like selling out, everyone says, oh, it's a good problem to have, but it's not really. It's kind of a very annoying problem to have because you have customers and you would have more sales had you not been sold out. So we've gone
Yeah.
a little above and beyond to produce more than enough inventory for this quarter. And then one difficult thing is that we're actually reformulating our flavors with a very slight change. So we over ordered our current product and now we're working on the slight change reformulation. And we're trying to have enough inventory to where we can hold off until we have those formulas ready. Hopefully late December, early January is when we'll produce that next round with a
Okay.
slight change. But yeah, we just over ordered for the holidays because again, there's nothing worse than selling out when you're on a roll. We were on an absolute roll last December because we produced what we thought was going to be 3 months worth of inventory and it sold out in like 3 weeks. And then
Oh
so
dang.
we were totally donezo by like December like 18th or something like that. And it was terrible because we had the rest of December to sell and we were selling tons on Amazon and we could not get more inventory to Amazon. So we
Oh
swore we
man.
wouldn't, get into that problem
Never go
again.
through that again.
And of course we
How long
did
did
in
it take?
March.
Oh really? It
Yeah,
happened again?
it happened in March again.
Oh
But
man. So it's almost like, but your business is so new. I mean, it's not like brand new, but it's new enough that like these new sales seasons and each like new sales season that you have, or each new holiday season is getting bigger and bigger for you, right? So like the problems that you had last year are not going to be the same ones that you had that you're that you're going to have this year and that kind of thing. How long did it take? I'm just curious. So you said you sold out on December 18th, and that's like a big, like that time period is like people want to drink, like they're like on break, right? They're prepping for the new year and that kind of thing. How long did it take for you to get stuff back in stock? I'm just curious.
I'd say it took about 3, 4 weeks or so to get our next inventory. And then, yeah, mid-January, we're back in stock up until mid-March. And that's when we sold out again. And then it
Oh
took
wow.
another month and a half. And then May and June were some of our best months ever online. And we're like, okay, ramp up production. And then
Yeah.
of course it's always ebb and flow. The summer is a little bit slower because just people are on vacation and not so much shopping online. And then of
Hmm.
course things start to ramp up Q3, Q4 again. So
Gotcha.
yeah, but that's why we just over ordered. We're like, we're done. We can't sell out anymore, even if
Yeah.
we have to pay more and just put more capital up front. It's just worth it so we don't sell out.
Yeah. That makes sense. And it seems like a product like yours has a pretty long shelf life, right? So you can order a lot and have it sit there in a warehouse and it's fine. Like the customer doesn't notice a difference and they still have an awesome experience on their end. So that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. We have no worry. Like we've never gotten to a point where any of our products have ever expired. So that's good news because our product always sells out. We haven't even been around long enough for our products to expire.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah.
Solid. So really quick, we're kind of towards the end here, but I'm curious about your kind of blend of retail versus online kind of blend. So are you focused mostly on the web on selling direct to consumer on your website? Are you getting into stores? Are you currently in stores? Kind of tell me where that's at and what your thought process is around it.
Absolutely. So when we first launched, we were absolutely focused on Amazon because it's a great place to get your product out there because their platform already has tons and tons and tons of traffic versus our website. Of course, it doesn't have tons of traffic when you first get started because no one knows it
Mm,
exists. So we focused a lot on Amazon and built ourselves up to being one of the top cocktail brands on Amazon. And COVID actually helped a little bit with that because people were not shopping as much in store and shopping a lot more online. But as we're, starting to get over the pandemic and things are opening back up, it seems like people are going a lot more in store than online now. And it seems like volume on Amazon has slowed down a little bit. So what we're focused on now is yes, growing through a lot of distribution and retail. And we just are onboarding with Kroger and just did a deal with TJ Maxx as well, and have a lot more in
okay.
the pipeline working with to continue growing in store because we really want to start growing the brand in store because we realize when people want to drink, they don't necessarily want to wait 2 days for their mix to arrive. They'd much rather go to the store, grab it, and start drinking.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I could imagine that a product like yours would do really well, like next to the drinks, right? When somebody's buying their drinks, grab your mix as
Yeah,
well. And, makes a lot of sense from that standpoint.
exactly. Yeah, you buy a bottle of tequila, and a 12 pack of craft mix, a mango
Yeah, I
margarita
love it.
mix, pasture plum mix, and you're good to go for the night.
Right on. I love it. All right. Well, I've got a few rapid fire questions. So feel free to just give as short an answer as you want. Number one is, what is your favorite like book or maybe podcast about business that you feel like that's helped you the most in the past year or two?
Ooh, I don't listen to one, but I do love going on LinkedIn and just seeing people's success stories more than a
Okay.
single podcast or book.
LinkedIn success stories. Is there, just follow up, is there like a particular like person that you follow for that? Or I mean, not just for that, you're probably connected with a lot, but is there like a certain person that comes to mind or like a certain page or business that you follow where a lot of that comes from? Or is it just kind of your whole network where you're looking for stuff from?
My whole network, because I love seeing the people that I know succeed.
Cool. Cool. I love that. And this next question segues nicely from that. Is there anybody in the industry that you haven't met before that you would love to take to lunch, like someone that you look up to?
Oh, that's a really good question. Someone that I would like to meet in the industry with CPG. I'm trying to think of like my favorite CPG brands and who I haven't met. Huh.
Or it
Let's
could
get
just
back.
be someone else in general. Like it could be someone like sports, entertainment, you
So,
know.
but see, like that's the thing. I'm a huge Miami Heat fan. I would love to meet like the
Nice.
Miami Heat team, but that wouldn't necessarily be business. Actually, yeah, let's say that. I would love to meet um Mickey Harrison, the owner of the Heat, because I think cocktails that come in packets would do very well in sports stadiums. It would like
Oh
less
yeah.
time that it would take them to make a cocktail, up their margins, lower the cost. So I would love to speak with him and
I
get
love it.
some
Okay, cool.
tickets.
Nice. I love it. Let's see. What other questions did I want to ask you? What advice would you give to somebody who's just starting out in the CPG space, who's maybe starting a brand or looking to start a career as a professional in the space?
Buckle up, because it takes time. If you're starting a business, it just takes time. Like, you want everything to be tomorrow, but of course, supply chain takes time, sales take time, scaling takes time, supply chain takes time, everything takes time.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, awesome. So just have patience. Takes
Yeah.
time. I like it. All right, man. Well, we're right at the end. I would love to. We've been talking about your brand on and off throughout the episode. Easy to do when you're doing awesome things like you are. But is there anything else that you want to mention? Any like promos that you have happening, or anything else you want to kind of throw out there for people to check out?
Just check us out, craftmix.com. We're an awesome product. I really appreciate anyone who checks us out and supports us. We like to keep it real. There's a lot of businesses out there who don't care about their customers, but for us, our customers really do mean the world to us. So yeah, check us out. We'd love to hear what anyone thinks. We're always open to feedback, and hit me up. Oh, that's another thing. I love helping out other people, other founders. I love collaborating with people. So if anyone
Cool.
ever needs help with anything, please hit me up. My email is jt@craftmix.com. I don't mind,
Okay.
but don't try and sell me your agency.
Yeah, don't try and pitch stuff, because he's going to make you do work for free first. You got to prove, not for free, but you got to prove you can deliver the goods, and then, yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, Jake. Well, thanks for your time, man. This was awesome, and hope to chat with you again later.
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right, man. See ya.
See you.